Hi guys, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda, and today I'm just gonna go ahead and work in my garden a little bit. There's a couple different cucumbers that I need to pull. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and pull my indeterminate tomatoes out. There are still some tomatoes on the vine, but with the days getting kind of cooler and shorter, they're not really growing as quickly as they would in the mid of summer. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and actually plant some zinnias, some flowers, a couple different herbs. I know I'm not going to get quite a large yield on a lot of those things, but I want to make the space pretty and kind of rework things a little bit. I am thinking about rearranging my brick bed that I have and giving a walkway between that bed and my upper bed. I went ahead and moved all my potatoes out of my harvest basket and added in a bag with all of the seeds that I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and plant in that tomato bed. I need to mow my yard. It's been a while and the mosquitoes are just horrendous, which is why I've been staying away from it. But we need to go ahead and get out there and start working. So I don't know if I've ever introduced my dog, but this is my dog Loki. He is a Great Pyrenees mix. He is very rambunctious and likes to help me in the garden. Right now he is eating grass, or I don't even really know. But we just cut the backyard. It was in the 90s and we needed to cool down. So this big giant squash plant right here is my pumpkin pie pumpkin. I only have one pumpkin on it. I only have one pumpkin on this plant. I left him thinking that maybe I'd get one. I don't know if it's going to be enough time for this to actually grow into the size that I need it to, but I decided to leave it anyhow. It has a ton of new growth, a bunch of new offshoots here. Looks like there might be a little baby pumpkin that's starting right there. But as you can see, it does have powdery mildew on it. So it has a bunch of powdery mildew, and the main stem of this plant actually has the vine borers, which is why I was skeptical on leaving it, because I didn't know that it would actually produce or if the plant would die before it was actually finished producing. But then I heard about someone leaving their plant and having the stem or the offshoots grow roots. This plant is like grabbing onto anything and everything that it can. Can't even move it. So I'm hoping that that pumpkin will get large enough to become something, maybe a pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, but no idea. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this guy here. My acorn squash plant, one of the acorn squash fell off, so it is sitting in my kitchen, but I have one more and he's getting pretty large. So this guy is in here and he's well over softball size. There haven't been any other ones to come off of the plant, but again, I'm just kind of leaving him. And he also has powdery mildew and a whole bunch of other insects on him. Over here in my compost pile, I planted something else, but I have no idea what it is. Honestly, wasn't even sure he was going to produce anything. But yeah, so I have that little guy. He's, yeah, I don't really know what it is. Squash of some sort. But he's just thriving in my compost pile here. So I'm going to leave him as well. So my main plan for this afternoon is to go ahead and remove a bunch of these cucumber plants. They're succumbing to some major damage, and I've got little yellow squash bugs. As well as the powdery mildew. But they're just right now kind of choking out my corn and my dahlia that I have here. Kind of overplanted this area. As you can see, I have corn here too, which never planted corn, so this is the first year. It is producing the corn on offshoots. I don't know if they're going to actually turn out to be anything good. I might have planted them way too close to each other.
And then obviously have some dead leaves here. And then this plant right here is my Armenian squash. I went ahead and I was leaving him because I was really hoping that he was going to get really big. But honestly, he's actually quite soft, which is concerning. Makes me think that maybe he's getting eaten from the inside out. So I've got a couple plants over here that need to be removed, and hopefully I can plant some other goodies over here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and actually just remove these guys. I'm gonna harvest my Armenian squash. So this is actually a muskmelon, which means you can either grow it to be a melon, which I've heard that it isn't quite as sweet as some other varieties of melon, but you can also harvest it pretty young for a cucumber type thing. I did make some cucumbers out of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop that in there. And I think what I'm gonna do with these smaller cucumbers is just kind of put them in whole and do like little, you know, party size cucumbers. So it is a little bit sad to be pulling out the summer vegetables, but I'm making room for some other things that will give me a little bit more food until winter comes. And a lot of these do have disease with the powdery mildew, so these things I'm not going to be throwing into my compost pile just because I don't want these to be spread into whatever soil that I take out of there to amend my beds, just because the diseases will carry over into the soil. So I'm going to make sure that these either get burnt or I throw them back into my woods where I'm not going to be actually taking soil from, just so I'm not spreading diseases in my garden. Alright, so I just found a cucumber that I totally missed, and it is huge. These pickling cucumbers typically get to be about this big when they're perfectly ripe. This one, however, is a lot larger. So I don't know if you guys can see this. This guy hanging below this cage is massive. He is almost a pale yellow. This is a perfect cucumber to save seeds from. When you go to save seeds from cucumbers, you want them to be larger just because the seeds on the insides of them are going to be way more mature, and that's going to give you a better chance of getting seeds that are viable.
So this particular cucumber plant is the bush cucumber. It really isn't any special variety, and I actually believe I got this from Burpee, just regular old seed company here. But when I am picking the cucumbers, I'm just kind of gently rubbing off all of the pricklies and adding them to my basket.
So I am just kind of going ahead and cutting these plants at the base and leaving the root system in the ground just because it's going to break down in the soil and put nutrients back in. So these are the potato cucumbers, or the little potato cucumbers. They are pretty good. They do have a rougher skin, so if you don't like tough skins, I wouldn't recommend this variety, but they are pretty delicious and they have a pretty good flavor. I've been just using them on salads or doing like a little cucumber salad. So I am just going to go ahead and finish up picking these guys out. It is getting, or is quite warm and pretty sunny, and I don't really need to be in the sun this long. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these guys out and then finish up for the night.
I almost forgot to mention, with all of these cucumber plants, I am just cutting them at the base and leaving the root system in the ground to go ahead and just add in a little bit more nutrients to the soil. The two panels that I pulled from the ground are actually a portion of my old dog cage that I had cut into two. In the far upper right hand corner you can see a black cage there that is actually the outer portion of the dog cage. I really do need to take some time to go ahead and actually weed my garden. It's gotten quite unruly, and right here I'm just kind of taking the time to pull a few of the larger ones, but it really needs a little bit more love than that.
So out of this picking of all of the cucumbers, I got two rather large pickling cucumbers that I'll probably go ahead and save the seeds from. Even though this is a hybrid, I'll get a kind of mystery pickle next season, which will be fun to try. I got a couple of these smaller cucumbers that I'm going to go ahead and pickle up whole. And I did find one good size. This is typically how large I pick these guys at, and he was just hiding, so I'm glad that I found this, because if it got any larger like these guys, it wouldn't have been as good. And then I did end up getting 4 of these potato cucumbers, which will make for a nice little side dish tonight. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. Happy gardening, and I'll see you next time.